All right, let's jump right in. There is this huge, almost invisible problem that is quietly siphoning billions and billions of dollars from companies all over the world. It's a silent killer of projects, but guess what? There's an entire field designed to stop it. And today we are going to pull back the curtain and see exactly what it is.
Just look at that number. $200 billion. That's not some abstract figure. That's the mind-boggling amount of money wasted every single year on IT projects that completely tank. We're talking projects that never see the light of day, go ridiculously over budget, or just don't do what they were supposed to. It's a staggering waste, which leads to the real question: why? Well, here's the real kicker. A massive 70% of that waste, we're talking $140 billion, isn't because of bad code or servers catching fire. Nope. It's because the entire foundation of the project was built on sand. The business's actual needs were never really understood or translated correctly. In other words, it was a massive failure of business analysis. So that brings us right to the heart of it. If a lack of business analysis is the villain here, what exactly is it? And who is this person, this corporate detective who shows up on the scene to investigate the mess, connect the dots, and stop these multi-billion-dollar disasters from happening in the first place? Okay, so the very first thing we have to get straight is a really important distinction. People throw the term business analysis around a lot, but it means two different things. You've got the practice itself, and then you've got the person who does it. Let's break that down. So on one side, you have business analysis, the discipline. This is the what. Think of it like a playbook, a set of tools and best practices for figuring out what a business really needs and then recommending solutions that are actually going to be valuable. On the other side, you have the business analyst, the professional. This is the who. This is the person who actually picks up that playbook and runs the plays. You can't have one without the other. One's the craft, the other is the craftsman. All right, so now we know who they are, but what's their main mission? What does a business analyst actually do all day to prevent that $200 billion train wreck? Well, it really all boils down to one single critical function. At their absolute core, a business analyst is a liaison. Now, that might sound like a simple corporate buzzword, but it's incredibly powerful. They are the human bridge. They connect the people who have the business problems and the big goals with the tech teams who are actually going to build the solution. They make sure everyone is speaking the same language and on the same page. And they build that bridge by following a really clear, almost detective-like process. First, they have to identify the real business needs, not just the surface-level symptoms. Then, they dig into the current processes to figure out where things are broken. From there, they gather and document all the nitty-gritty requirements for a fix. And only then do they recommend a solution that will actually solve the core problem and create value. So how in the world do they do all of this? Well, they don't just wander into a meeting with a notepad and a dream. A great analyst comes armed with a whole toolkit of strategies and frameworks to really dissect a problem from every possible angle. You know, a lot of the time it starts with something we've all heard of, brainstorming. But this isn't just about yelling ideas at a whiteboard. It's a structured way to get all the right people in a room to generate truly new ideas, to dig down and find the real root of a problem, and to start building solutions together. And brainstorming is just the beginning. The analyst's toolkit is packed with these frameworks. They might use something like a SWOT analysis to map out the big picture: strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. But one of the most powerful tools, and honestly one of my favorites, is called the 5 whys. It's so simple, it's brilliant. Imagine a website keeps crashing. An amateur just reboots it. The analyst asks, why? Because the server overloaded. Okay. Why did it overload? Because of a traffic spike. Why was there a spike? And they keep digging, like a relentless toddler, asking why, until they find the real hidden cause, like a tiny flaw in a marketing campaign's timing. It's about drilling past the symptoms to find the cure. Okay, so having the right tools in your toolkit is awesome. But what is it that separates a good analyst from a truly great one, the kind that companies can't live without? It really comes down to a mix of solid knowledge and some absolutely critical soft skills. First things first, you have to master the fundamentals. You just have to. You can't solve a complex puzzle if you don't even know how the pieces fit together. A top-tier analyst has a deep, solid understanding of the core principles. This lets them make informed decisions, not just wild guesses. Next up, analytical skills. This is the engine room, right? This is the ability to take a giant mountain of data and information, break it all down,
think critically about it, and pull out the few golden nuggets of insight that actually matter. This skill right here is what will truly set you apart from the pack. So, if analytical skill is the engine, then communication is the superpower. It's absolutely crucial. Remember, analysts are the bridge between the business folks and the tech wizards. They have to be expert translators, turning business needs into technical specs, and then turning complicated tech speak back into plain English that everyone can understand. And of course, there's more. Great analysts usually have deep knowledge of the industry they're in. I mean, you can't solve a hospital's problems if you don't understand healthcare. They are masters at managing relationships with all sorts of people because you need trust to find the real problems. And in today's world, you have to be agile, adaptable, and always learning to keep your skills sharp for the next big case. So let's wrap this all up. We've talked about the what, the who, the how, and the skills you need. But at the end of the day, why does any of this really matter? It matters because this is the secret weapon that stops that $200 billion hemorrhage of cash. Business analysis, the practice, is how we methodically turn messy problems into valuable solutions. And the business analyst, the professional, is the person on the front lines making sure that transformation actually happens. So I'll leave you with this question. The next time you see a cool new app launch without a hitch, or you hear about a super complex project at a huge company that just worked perfectly, you'll know it wasn't by accident. And maybe, just maybe, you'll wonder, who was the detective behind the scenes that cracked the case?